So let's just get this out of the way. People are looking at the LG C4 and G4 as adequate options in 2024, and I'm here to tell you just stop doing that. W OLED is old technology. That is as fast as anyone's going to tell you. Smack a like on this video, and let's dive in. Simply put, W OLED cannot compete with the color advantages of quantum dots. There is a reason QD-OLED is seen as an upgrade over W OLED, and that's because of color. Anyone who is trying to short sell that or pretend like that is not a thing in 2024 is just lying to you. It's basic science at this point. Now, the big idea is that the quantum dots allow for wider expressions of color that just were not possible back with W OLED, again, from its inception. Now, people are trying to do what I perceive to be relatively stupid things like compare the LG G4 to something like the Samsung S90C or S95D or Sony A95L. It's stupid because it's a W OLED. The W OLED technology is limited and stunted. You'll run into issues with very specifically colors looking pale and muted. But don't just take my word for it. On your favorite YouTubers in the AV community that you like to watch their footage carefully. Samsungs will always look very vibrant and have way more color of expression the same way Sony's with their QD-OLED will. This simply means that when you buy a W OLED G4 or C4, you are buying old technology. Yeah, sure, it feels good to say you have the latest and the greatest, and yeah, sure, they're getting brighter, but understand this. This right here is why we went to QD-OLED, okay? QD-OLED allows for you to maintain the same level of brightness that you would have had on, let's say, a W OLED without the color dilution. You see that white subpixel? For those of you who know a little bit about W OLEDs, that white subpixel, the brighter you make it, the more you dilute or wash out the color. Essentially, when they start boasting micro lens array and we've gotten brighter this year, that is not a good thing on a W OLED. The reason it's not a good thing is because W OLEDs are known notoriously for getting incredibly washed out. Yes, sure, they can have sharpness, clarity, they can have motion that looks really good, but when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of what really matters, your colors, it's going to look bad. Now again, if you're not a color person and you like to wash things out, by all means, the W OLED will be a great way to drop $2,000+ on something that out the gate already is less adequate than a quantum dot OLED. In 2024, we really need to understand if it doesn't have quantum dots, just don't buy it. It's not worth it. You have all kinds of options from LED to mini LEDs to QLEDs. You have OLEDs. You have no reason to buy a W OLED RGB or an IPS panel type television or something that's like, edge lit TV or whatever it is. In this day and age, doesn't matter what your budget is. You can get a solid TV for under $400, usually $400 to $500. You get a better TV, and that will get you the quantum dots that you need. But as far as the OLED world, these QD OLEDs have gone on sale to a point of like they're on par with what you get out of these W OLEDs. And for those wondering like, oh, well, if I buy something like the Samsung S90D, there is a panel lottery. No, there isn't. You have to understand the technology. They told us very clearly at inception, okay? QD OLED sizes are 55 and 65. That's it, okay? If you start going 77, 83, 42, you are risking going to the OLED that LG would be supplying, the W OLED sizes. 55 to 65, that's your sweet spot. Now, if you want a bigger TV and you're okay with going W OLED, okay, well then you have to trade size for quality. Picture quality, be very specific. Me personally, I would rather rock a 65-inch all day, every day, and have a grand experience. I don't know where we got off thinking that 65 inches is a small size. I guess it might have been somewhere along the lines where they were trying to sell 8K TVs to you and realized that you wouldn't see a benefit on those 65-inch displays, so you needed a stadium-sized TV that takes up a ton of real estate in your home, very heavy to lift, can't move it without two people, very cumbersome and inconvenient in almost every single way, but they sold you on the idea that bigger is always better. The reality is it's not in every single use case and scenario, and there are many of people, myself included, that rocks a 55 like I have right here behind me, again, and enjoying every ounce of the picture quality that I receive on it. I personally don't like the bigger TVs because, again, when you take a native source that was never meant to be blown up and upscaled, as they call it, to massive stadium sizes, you get image degradation. Your image gets blurry, fuzzier, especially once you get to those lower quality Blu-rays and DVDs from, again, older generations. But again, I'll leave that where it's at and let people who maybe don't really know a whole lot about out that ask questions if they want, and those who are stubborn just stay stuck in your ways. The reality is simply this: the LG line of televisions can no longer compete. We have reached diminishing returns. They have peaked, and there is no further they can go until they add quantum dots and become something entirely different from W OLED. Now, again, people won't like that, but that is the unbridled truth. And again, don't take my word for it. Go look around. Go watch comparisons, and you'll notice the W OLEDs are always going to look worse for color than something like a Sony A95L and a Samsung QD-OLED. It's just reality. And the more we fight science, the more we hold ourselves back. So that's the truth here at Quantum TV. Thanks so much for watching, the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.